Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about empowerment. We're going to talk about inner confidence. And we're going to talk about how you can achieve and be whatever you want to be. Because Karen Sigalas has joined me. But as usual, the wise why is not about me. It is about my guest. So I'm going to go straight over to Karen and say, Karen, please introduce yourself because I think you are epic.
What an introduction. Thank you. How do I follow that? I'm epic. Well, I own my worth. Thank you very much. I'm a coach. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a reputation coach. So I really work with mindsets to help people own their worth, to unpick that you are more than your job. It's not defining your worth. And I look at ways in which you can be recognized, you can be promoted, and you can really get that sense of confidence and self-worth. That's me. Oh, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. Forgot to say that.
and it's really important because whether you're a man or a woman, if you've been in a job for a while, sometimes you can just lose yourself. And we talk, obviously, we're business owners. And in that case, I do a lot of talks about what it's like to run a business. But in this case, you're not necessarily coaching business owners, are you? You're much more focused in that getting somebody to gain that new promotion.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And for a lot of people, what I've noticed is people don't apply unless they feel they're 100% ready. Don't do that. We really need not to do that. We apply even when it's messy, apply even when we think we haven't got a chance, because the mere act of applying sets ourselves in forward motion, and it kind of desensitizes the stress about applying when you're not 100% perfect. Because I tend to work with really ambitious and determined people, and they want to be perfect. And that is the biggest misstep that we can ever make, because we're setting ourselves up for failure if we want to be perfect, because it just doesn't work. It's about turning up messy, taking the action and learning from it, and remembering, even if you don't get the thing, it's not defining you. Your next actions are. It's all knowledge in the end. Actually, one of my biggest tips, I would say, is to treat success and failure the same. So if you get it, great. What did you do? What enabled you to do that? What skills did you embody? What mindset did you have? If you didn't get it, great. What is it you can learn? What can you do better? What could it be that just made you miss out? So it's about treating those two things as the same, because it's learning either way.
Really interesting. So as you were talking about that, what came into my mind was people who don't get the job, because it's very easy to talk about the success and talk about getting the job. But the people who don't get the job, sometimes they're scared to get that feedback, why they didn't get the job. But feedback's positive, right?
Yeah, I would agree. A couple of things around feedback. People aren't very good at giving constructive feedback. I'm going to just say that. So what we need to do is ask really great questions to get the feedback that we need, that will help us. So, for example, we would say something like, could you tell me what skills I need to build on so that I could be in with a chance next time for this role? Could you tell me one thing you wish I had that was missing? Could you tell me one thing where you could see where my potential was, but I wasn't quite there?
So one of the things that we talked about, you just talked about being a little bit messy. Now, I love messy because from messy, we get magical mistakes. I wondered if you could expand a little bit more about what messy could be and what that limiting thought is that stops somebody from allowing themselves to embrace the messy.
Oh, I love that, the limiting thought. So the messy is that thing about, I need it to be just that bit better. I need it to be a little bit more perfect. I need it to be a little bit more polished. Oh, I'm not going to do it yet because it's not there yet. So I end up not doing it because it's that doubt. We're worried. What that is, if you break that down, we're just worried about failing. We're worried about someone saying, no, you're not good enough. They're actually not saying that. They're actually saying, if they didn't get the job, no, you're not there yet. it's information. So showing up messy means showing up when you're not ready. Like I think about my personally, not quite a job situation, but my first LinkedIn post. I had, I joined the LinkedIn platform like 18 years ago, and it took me 18 years to actually sort it out, Karen, and actually start posting. And I remember my very first post. I was thinking, oh my goodness, what do I post about? I've got no idea. Oh, and it has to be perfect. Look at so and so and so and so, because you're in the comparison game. Oh, they've got it so together. They've got it so polished. And oh, what about this SEO business? Do you know what? I just decided, had no idea what to talk about. I'm going to talk about the fact that I was a school rep, class rep for my child's class, and how nobody wanted the job, but I said I'd do it. And I ended up loving it. That was the very first post I posted about it, just because I just wanted to show up. And from then on, I haven't looked back. Of course, have I got better? Definitely. Have I got structured? Definitely. Have I now got a content planner? Yes, I have. I didn't need to have all of those things to start with. See, if I hadn't have posted that post, I would still be stuck not posting on LinkedIn. It's exactly the same thing. Just,
love it. The reason I love it is the very first post I did, and it's so, I now coach LinkedIn, I coach YouTube, I coach different platforms, I coach how to be confident on camera, public speaking, the whole thing. But my very first post was me, and this is really, really interesting. I've gone into Canva. Now I was petrified of Canva. Now I just whiz around it and I don't even think about it. And actually, I can help people cut all the corners on Canva very, very quickly. But my first thing I put out was this animation. I went in and clicked social media animated post. It was not perfect. It was so bad. I mean, this is 5 years ago now. It was so bad that I didn't know at the point that the background worked for me, because it was a man walking to work as this animation, and it looked like hills, was actually the Canva template that you're supposed to put the actual image into. And I love it because actually, yeah, I know, exactly. But if I hadn't done it, and I didn't take it down, and it still makes me smile, because for me, that was my starting point. It was messy. Did I compare and despair? And that's what I want to come on to, which is why I've mentioned it there. Did I compare and despair with everybody else out there 5 years ago? Well, no, because 5 years ago, actually, that was quite a cool post. But now, I wouldn't put it out there because of compare and despair. So I wondered if you could expand a little bit about comparing, despairing, and again, how it leads us back to the negative thoughts, and how the power of yet can get us over that.
So, first thing, compare and despair. Don't do it. That is the first thing. Bloody hell, just don't do it. Seriously, don't. Because one thing I've learned is that you're running your own race, you're in your own lane, you're defining your own success, and you're doing it in your own time. What happens is, if we look at everybody else around us and think, oh, why am I not like that? And why am I not like this? And look how this person is doing it. Why haven't I been doing this, 18 years ago? Forget it. It doesn't really serve us. What matters is right now. You're in your own lane going for gold. You define success. And other people's successes, it's really, really important. Other people's successes don't take away from your own success. Really important to let that sink in. Just because other people are further along in their line, so what? You're running your own race, and if anything, use that to inspire you, to inform you. What are they doing really well that I could actually think about? Oh, what are they role modeling? What traits are they exuding that I want to build for myself? Rather than it being about envy or despair, or then turning into self-doubt because you feel you're so far behind. Like for me, I could have said, I've spent 18 years procrastinating on doing LinkedIn. No, I haven't. What's actually happened for me is I hadn't realized the power of social media and LinkedIn until now. And I'm doing everything in my power to learn as much as I can. Am I going to get it wrong? Yep. I had a post the other day that, oh my goodness, that got 100 impressions, but my best post got over 9,000 impressions with over 250 reactions, and it's like 56 comments. If you had said to me at the beginning in August, that's going to happen, I probably would have laughed. And I wouldn't have cared, actually. That's the other thing that's really important. A real tip is to understand why you are doing this, why you're going for the job, why you're posting on LinkedIn, why you're doing the thing that you're having doubt about. And for me, my why is about giving value to other people to significantly change their life for the better so that they can feel more successful and that they can own their self-worth. That's my why. So it doesn't matter for me if I'm behind or ahead or got likes or not got likes. If I know that just one person's life has been significantly improved because of interaction with me, that's all that matters. So it's really about finding out your why. So if you're going for a promotion, why is that? Okay, it might be about more money, but what does that give you? More time with the family, precious memories, a sense of financial freedom, a sense of independence. And I've got this. I'm in equal partnership with my partner, a sense of contribution. Just think about beyond the actual thing, getting a promotion or posting the post or whatever it might be, what makes that important for you? And that is what's going to keep you going when that self-doubt comes fluttering in. Go to your why is what I would say. And the other part of this is when you said, and what about the yet? That is the growth mindset. So it's where you're giving yourself self-compassion. And I might say to myself, I haven't got my website down yet. I'm working on it. I haven't got it SEO'd and optimized yet. I'm working on it. And it just leaves room for growth. You're not the end. There's another step. There's another day. There's another choice that allows you to learn and grow because you've got this.
Absolutely love it. Now, what I love about your coaching, and the reason that I went, yeah, absolutely, let's get you on the Wise Why, is your coaching is backed by science. It's you're not just another coach, because lots of people, and it's an interesting one because that word coach, I do coaching, but I avoid using it when I refer to myself because I empower people to do. And I don't call myself a coach deliberately because I feel it uncomfortable. But yours is different. And I'd really love us to explore that difference so people can understand, because anyone can call themselves a coach.
So a couple of things. I started coaching 20 years ago when coaching was seen as a charlatan practice, and there's life coaches out there that are there to take your money. That was a really sad situation. What I did is I trained with a Coactive Training Institute. I got a certification. I then built up my practice through referrals. I've never had to advertise ever. So that's how you know something's working, because you're getting referrals and referrals and referrals, and your pipeline grows. And the other thing that I do, in addition to coaching, I deliver training sessions that are based in science, psychology, neuroscience, and the latest research. So I'm able to use science-backed strategies that are practical, that are simple, and that work, which I've seen work through 20 years of coaching people. So you know that when you come to me, I'm guaranteeing you success. You just have to look at my testimonials, because these things work. And the other thing I would say is I'm the right coach for the right person. Everybody has the right coach for them. I'm not for everybody, and everybody is not for me. And I'm okay with that. So that's probably, it was also what sets me apart. I'm able to let you go if you're not for me. So when we have a chemistry conversation or a clarity call, I'm also looking at, do we have the right chemistry? Do we have the right dynamic to work together? Because I know the right people and I will get incredible results. It's just simple as that.
and again, it's brilliant. So I wonder if you could share a kind of story of where you have helped somebody come from, you know, that self-doubt, that compare and despair, that non-belief that they could go for the promotion, to actually taking them to that beautiful arc where they've actually phoned you and gone, it's worked. Oh my God. So I wonder if you could just share, obviously not explain who the client is, but just
No.
tell us about how that journey works for somebody.
Okay, so I've got two people in mind that had particular massive transformations. One, well, okay, so let me just give the details without giving too much of the details away. So they started with this feeling of, I want something more, and I know I want something different, but they actually didn't know what they wanted. They actually wanted something more. They wanted a bigger leadership position, and they wanted more from their role, but they hadn't had it clearly defined. So what we did is we looked at what was working for them and what wasn't. And the thing that I've noticed actually that binds all of my clients together, remember, it seems counterintuitive because I work with really talented, determined people. What's holding them all back is their mindset and self-doubt. Now, if I told you, I mean, these people are directors, very senior people, not all of them, some of them. And if I was to tell you that that was holding them back, you just wouldn't believe it. So it shows that what we appear on the outside is not necessarily what we're feeling inside. And it's that fear of what trips most of my clients up are that fear of being a perfectionist, that fear of, I need to be perfect because my standards are so high for myself and people know me for delivering these results, that can become really oppressive and it can really hold people back from wanting something different or bigger for themselves. So the analogy I always use is the idea of, imagine you're at the foot of a mountain. You're at the foot of the mountain, you're looking and you're studying, how do I climb up this mountain? What's the best equipment to have with me? What's the best route? Let me think about the weather. My clients are there really analyzing and thinking about the top of this mountain. Whereas the other person next to them, I've thought, okay, I've got my basics here. Let me take my first step. So they take their first step, they stumble and they fall. They take the next step, okay, and they continue to progress until they get to the top of the mountain. Whereas the other person is still sitting there analyzing and pontificating and planning about their next move and taking into all these other factors. Sometimes you just got to do it. And so our breakthroughs come from doing it, even though you feel scared. The self-doubt doesn't go, but what replaces it is the courage to take a step and know that together we unpack the learning, what worked, what didn't work, what is this whole situation saying about you, what you can do, that you can do hard things and then you can survive. You can make a mistake and the world hasn't ended. And it's that trajectory that keeps people moving forward, and the mindset of what if life was rigged for me to win? Imagine operating your life from that mindset. I mean, seriously, just let that sink in for a minute. Imagine that life was rigged for you to succeed. Can you imagine what you would do? Like seriously, can you imagine what you would do, what you'd want to achieve?
Brilliant, because everybody is almost limited by our conditioning, our childhood conditioning, the conditioning of our families, and where our thought processes are. And we're always told, don't be arrogant, don't boast, don't, you can see it. Don't stay in your lane. But actually, if you really believe you can, you bloody will. And so I love this because it's exactly what I agree with.
Well, I'm happy about that, but the most important bet that you can ever make in your life ever is to bet on yourself, because no one else is going to do it. And I work with people to help see that backing themselves is a sure winner, whatever happens. I've coached people to get promotions, to leave the country, to live their dream life, to give up what they're doing and become a photographer and earn tons of money. I've coached people into the suite. I mean, I can give you all of the sort of hard, tangible things that people have done. But actually, that's not really important. It is important. But what's really important is the mindset, because that is where everything is. And the thing about mindset is it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm being honest. You know, if you imagine you're riddled with self-doubt all your life, it doesn't happen overnight. But it does happen. People make change. You just have to look at my testimonials and you'll see it. And it's a bit of work. But anyone can do this. The great thing about your mindset, it's the one thing you're in control of.
That's brilliant.
You've got the keys.
You do. And it's really interesting because I was talking about this, funny enough, with my chiro on Tuesday, because she said to me, because I've got a prolapse disc, which is very exciting. So, yeah, standing up's great. Sitting down's not so great. And she said to me, you've handled it really well. And I went, you know what? It's about my mindset. It's actually genuinely about my mindset. I know it hurts. I know it's really painful right now. And I know I can't go and run really fast. But I do know it's going to get better. And I do know that it's just slowing me down for now. And she was just like, where did this mindset come from? And I went, running my own business. Which that's really silly. But so on that note, moving away from mindset for a minute, I want to talk about, Karen, where did you come from? Because, you know, 20 years ago, you've been a coach for 20 years. What were you doing beforehand? And also, who has supported you along the way?
Oh, that is such a story. How long have we got? All right, it's so.
I think we've got a bit of time. Yeah, we've still got time.
Right, I'm gonna try and like get this down. So my story. So back in the early 200s, I don't know if you remember, there was loads of redundancies happening in the financial sector and the IT sector. And at the time, I was working as a consultant, and I'd survived 8 rounds of redundancy. Yay! And then I remember on this particular day, they called me up to a room. So I had my like pad with me, my pen, you know, really a studious person that I am. And I had my water with me. So I took everything up, you know, ready to think I'm going to get my details for the next project. I walked in the room and I knew something was off, but I kind of put it to the back of my mind because on the table, first of all, there were 2 people there. One person I was expecting and then someone else who I didn't know. I'm like, and they said, oh, this person's from HR. And I'm like, okay, thinking, okay, maybe it's, you know, project to do with HR. I'm not sure. And then there was a box of tissues in the middle of the room, in the middle of the table. And then they said to me the infamous words, you know, the company's shrinking, the roles, blah, 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 blah. And I remember all I could be thinking at that time was, I am not going to cry. I do not need those box of tissues. I'm going to hold it together. I don't know why I felt like I wanted to do that, but I think probably my shock and my sense of dignity and I don't know, but I just didn't want to cry at that point. And I was shocked. So I held it together. I walked down the stairs, got to my desk, and floods of tears just the heavens opened and you couldn't stop me. And I remember calling, I think he was my boyfriend or my fiance at the time. I can't remember now. But anyway, calling him on the phone and I couldn't get through and someone else answered. And I said, I need to speak to him. And they said, well, he's in a meeting. And I'm like, you need to get him out of this meeting. You got to remember, I'm sobbing, like, like really sobbing. So the time he got to the phone and I said what had happened, he was so relieved. Do you want to know why? Because he thought I was in an accident. I was that hysterical. He thought I was in an accident. And so it was a relief that it was just this. Then after that, and he was so sweet, he came and he picked me up. You know, it was a real shock because I think that's the first time in my life I ever felt like a failure, actually, if I'm honest. I went to university, I got a job straight away. I didn't have to wait tables or do anything like that. I just fell into my jobs. And I remember back then, so you got to remember like 20 years ago, there was a lot of, I felt there was shame around being made redundant. And I remember telling my mom, and it was really tricky because like she didn't want to tell the family, and I'm like, well, that's fine. And like, and I felt terrible. And I just felt like I wish there was a hole that I could just disappear into for a while. Didn't want to see anyone. I felt awful. I felt really like rubbish. about myself. I thought, I'm not good enough. Like the worst things you could ever think, I thought. And, really sat with that sense of feeling of failure. And then a friend of mine recommended a book called What Color Is Your Parachute? Now, I decided to work through that book diligently, like it was my job. And that is what led me to coaching and the perspective of I have just been paid quite a lot of money to have at least 9 months, 6 months of figuring out what I needed to do next. And I've been paid to think about what I want to do next. I had a mortgage and we were about to get married. So there was all of that going on in the background. And I realized my real passion was helping people transition through change. And really, I had an unwavering belief as I started my coaching that I was put on this earth to coach, to add value, to leave a legacy of confidence and self-worth behind me. Like, I can't tell you that going into coaching has given me such purpose and meaning that sometimes I have to pinch myself to think, am I in this role? Is this real? Is this real? And I've gone away with what I'm saying now. I can't even remember what I'm saying. What did you
ask? That happens.
I was like so into it. But that was another part of the story. So I started coaching and I kind of getting clients in and I'm really happy about it. Then I thought, oh my God, this isn't going to pay the mortgage. I went from being a very, very well-paid consultant to kind of nothing, starting my own business. So I got another job as a consultant. Because I thought this isn't going to work. How is this going to work? I've never been in business myself. So I got another job, and then 3 months later, I resigned because I realized it felt soulless for me. And I picked up enough clients to realize I could do really well. And then came the magazine articles that I've been featured in, and then the TV, and it was just incredible. And that also led me to thinking, what else can I do that complements coaching? So that's where I got into training and delivering coaching training sessions based in science and psychology. I joined 2 freelance organizations that did that. So then I got exposure to companies like really high tier companies. You can see them on my headline. So like BBC, Universal Music, JP Morgan, so many places that I thought I'd never get exposure to, and that's just complemented what I do. And if I was to look, I would have never thought back then I would be in this place of such privilege and purpose that I am now. So in my darkest moments, I didn't see the light because I couldn't have imagined this, but I knew all I need to do was to take the next step, the next step, the next step, the next step, and see where that took me.
That's just beautiful. We've had a comment from Catherine Nicholson, who says, loving this, so inspiring. So that's
right,
a really lovely comment.
Thank you. I want to shout out to actually Catherine Nicholson. I freelance for the virtual training team, and she is one of the founders of that. And that's also a place that gives me all the science, the psychology, the neuroscience, the research that I can then use with my clients. And I just feel alive when I coach, when I train, when I deliver, no matter what happens. Like today, right now, I've got 2 sick kids. But one was an A&E yesterday situation, and the other one this morning, they're both off school. Yet I know that I've got a support system here. Like my husband, I did yesterday, he's doing today. And when I talk about this stuff that I'm talking about with you, it just brings me so much joy. I feel really alive, and I would have never ever thought that I would feel like that when I hit that moment 20 years ago than I do now.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because that is exactly what people need to hear. This is why I set up the Wise Why, because we've all got a backstory and we've all got a reason why we do what we do. And that why inspires more people. And particularly when you're down in the depths of despair, watching one of these episodes, it can really pick you up. So thank you. This is where the tables get turned. And you've been talking for, wait for this, for 30 minutes. I bet you're surprised on that. You get to ask me a question and I've got no idea what it is. So fire away.
what is the one nugget of wisdom that you would impart on the listeners, the lookers, the people today that you wish everybody would know about themselves?
You can survive anything, because no matter what life throws at you, and trust me, I have seen some really, really horrible times in my life. I'm a child of trauma. I had trauma in my first marriage, and trauma has affected and been involved in my life all the way through to, and I'm now nearly 54. I say that quickly. And no matter what you're thrown at, no matter how down, I can remember pawning my jewellery to go and buy cat food. Funny enough, my cat's not scratching the door right now. I have been homeless. I've lived in a tent. I've been in a women's refuge. It's not been an easy life. I now have the best life in the entire world. I am married to the most amazing man. I have the most amazing daughter, and I can absolutely practice gratitude every single minute of every single day, because I am the luckiest woman alive. So you can survive anything, no matter how bad it is. There is always, if you can be brave, a bit like what you were saying earlier, if you can be brave and you can just trust to take that leap of faith, just trust to jump into and follow the white rabbit, or jump onto that surfboard and just believe you can. And that's the whole thing. Believe you can, and you really will. And that is my nugget, is you can survive anything. So yeah,
I love that, because I really, that really resonates with me, because I would add, even if you don't know the end point, like I'm just thinking about my own experience. Yeah. I never knew about coaching. I never knew about training and develop. I was never in that space. I was a change management consultant. I was never in that space of training or developing or coaching. And even if you don't know where your next, where your end point is, that's okay. It's just about focusing on that one step in front of you each day and seeing where it leads. Because thinking about my perfectionist people, there's never right or wrong. There's just learning, and what you do with that learning that counts.
Absolutely.
And it can take you places that you might never have dreamed of.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for your time. I love that. Genuinely love that conversation.
And I hope